Hey everyone, welcome to the Perth Observatory virtual star party for the June the 12th. My name's Matt and I'm going to be your host for tonight, and I'm joined tonight by Roger. Hello Roger, how are you going?
Hello. I'm good, thank you, Matt. Good to be on a Saturday night rather than a weeknight.
Yes, a lot more time to get all the little bugs and issues that come out. It's never ever easy, but I usually find that if it is going easy, that's when you know something's wrong. Like having a trailer go through your bumper on the way just before you leave for York with telescopes in them. So, welcome to our live stream. If this is your first time you're seeing this, well, welcome and thank you for joining us. We've already got Carl in the YouTube live chat saying good evening all. Good evening, Carl. And we've also got in the chat here, got any soup says evening guys, and Sinja saying hey guys as well. So hello everyone, and thanks for joining us tonight. We've got some cool stuff to show you, and hopefully you'll like it enough that you'll like the video and you'll subscribe to the channel, and because we want to try and monetize this so we can do even better. This is all on Roger and my time. We don't get paid for this. This is our volunteering hours.
Actually, I thought the other time when I was there, I've got to remember to enter some volunteer hours for these, because they take a few hours to set up and get running.
Oh, Roger, I'm way behind. I'm about a couple of months ahead of behind my. I keep on trying to learn. I'm good after I've done it like 3 months of volunteering hours, and then I get slack, and I'll think I'll just do it the next time I'm in for work, and I never end up doing it. And then 6 months goes by, and then you go, oh god, I got to put in all those hours.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to be showing you a couple of objects tonight, or 4 objects tonight. We're going to be showing you a nebula, a star cluster, an open star cluster, a globular cluster, and a couple of galaxies as well. So we're going to use the fact that the moon's not up for to really show you what some cool stuff in the night sky. So we've got Roger here and screen on the screen here, and Roger, what is this lovely image that you're taking a photo of, and what software are you using to take it?
Yeah, so this is the Dragons of Ara, they're called. It's NGC 6188. It's a beautiful nebula towards the central core sort of bulge region of our Milky Way galaxy. It's a very popular image for for narrowband imaging. Now, tonight I've got it on just red, green, blue here. I'm secretly in the background acquiring some narrowband images as we go, but we'll see how we go. This is actually only the second time I've imaged this, believe it or not. Cause I only got narrowband filters probably 2 years ago, and it just never came up. It was too wide a field for my main telescope. My main telescope has a much narrower field of view than this, so it doesn't suit it. But yeah, I saw a bunch of people enter some fantastic renditions of this in the last Astrofest exhibition, mostly using narrowband filters. And so I thought, that's how I really became aware of it. And then about a week ago, it was a week ago, I was out at our Wheatsbelt block, and I was doing some maintenance work on some customers' telescopes while I was chatting to another customer who was there in person. And I was just there on the iPad working out what the heck can I photograph, other than M8, the Lagoon Nebula, over towards the center of the Milky Way. And I thought, well, what's that bright collection of stars there? And just sort of slewed the telescope to it and took some shots, and then went, hey, you know what? That's probably the Dragons of Ara. So I sort of stumbled upon it and did a whole bunch of images over the next few nights, and I haven't processed a single one of those images. Takes time to do that, but because of that, I knew that it was a good field of view for this telescope and this camera, so I thought I would shoot it for tonight. So what I'm doing is red, green, blue. This is a first time attempting to use this EZ live stack script in PixInsight. Ken, who has been on these a few times, he recommended a few different live stack things to us, and so I'm trying this one, and this is the first time ever I've got RGB working, so we'll see how it goes for the rest of the night. Hey Matt.
Yep, it always seems to work. Well, we always pull something out if it starts messing about. So yeah, so we've never had to just cut the stream off. So it's looking good though.
Right. Yeah, I like that there's good star color coming out, which is surprising. The color balance is not perfect, but hey, that's because it's just doing a completely automated stretch and balance on this. I've got, from what I can tell on my limited knowledge of this EZ live stack, I've got absolutely no control over actually manipulating that live. So we just go with what it gives us in terms of brightness and color balance.
Yeah. So do these dragons come from the castle of Monty Python reference there. Yeah. For those who don't know, that's a Monty Python Holy Grail reference there, right there. So, yeah.
We should actually point out that the dragons are like coming in from the sides, and I think they have actually got it up the right way. There's sort of one dragon coming in from this side and one from that side. I assume that everyone can see my pointer there. Good. I suppose you could. Is it that's the whole jaw and head?
I think so. Yeah.
And that's the whole jaw and head. Maybe.
Yeah. Yep. So where
we're all right though. We're getting some fainter red coming out here.
Got any Soof said, "Tis but a scratch." So where we're looking tonight is right here. So you can kind of see the emu in the night sky. For Roger, I'm showing the stellarium here. So you can see the Southern Cross right here. And right here is the Coalsack Nebula, which is the emu's head and beak. And then down is the neck past the pointers. And we've got our body right here of the emu. Also, this is the Sagittarius arm. And this is where we're looking right here, just as the body starts to appear from the neck. And I can actually turn on the... There you go. So you can see right there, that's where it is. So you've got Scorpio and you've got right there. Plus you've also got the Ara, yeah. And the Norma as well, the constellation Norma. So it's in between those three constellations. So we're going to be focusing a little bit around this area tonight. And unfortunately,
I have to admit, Matt, that part of the night sky, it sort of gets a bit lost on me. I remember back in the early days doing a Provia 400 film shot of Norma, something in Norma. Who knows? It could have been something even this nearby. But those constellations of Norma, Ara, Triangulum, I don't know. You don't hear of them very much, do you?
They're not the classical Greek naming for constellations. They kind of cheaped out on the southern hemisphere when they got here, which is pretty unexcusable because the Brits had the British Navy wasn't a dry navy, so even my great grandfather was getting his daily ration of whiskey on the Arctic convoys in World War II. So they do have they should have been naming these things pretty well. Like you've got the Triangulum Australis, which you've got the compass. It's at least you've got a couple of things like the fly, Musca, the fly, and but just purely bad form on their part. So not a good
That's right.
excuse there. Yeah.
Not forgetting, of course, octans, which
Hmm.
falls into the same category and is our, in theory, our southern constellation with Sigma Octans, our southern star.
Yeah.
Good luck finding it.
So it is an emissions nebula, so we can't show it actually on a night sky tour here at the observatory. So it's you have to use cameras to draw out all that light. So it's 4,000 light years away. So we're seeing it as it was 4,000 years ago, and it's 300 light years across. So it's actually bigger than the Carina Nebula, which is about 240 light years away. So if you don't know what a light year is, it's nearly 9.5 trillion kilometers, and that's how far light travels in a year in a complete vacuum. So yeah. So we've got some. What we'll do is we'll got any soup. We'll get those in for next time. And we'll show the Eagle Nebula if we can. We'll probably have to be towards the end of the night just because it's going a little bit slow. But yes, the Eagle Nebula is a favourite of mine, and it is a star forming region. Go, sorry.
The Eagles are below Lagoon, isn't it? It's
Yeah, it
still
is.
rising
Yeah,
later, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It surprises me still how low the Lagoon M8 is at the moment.
Mm. And hello to Tony S and the Astrovale Kid as well. It's good to see you jumping in. And and so it is star forming region. So we're seeing baby stars being formed, but these baby stars are massive, and they've only recently been formed. Some of them are only in the last few million years, and the spark and formation was probably caused by the last batch of stars that went supernova in this bunch of stars here. You can actually see in the center where those dragons are meeting a bright open star cluster. So they're baby stars that have just been formed, and that's NGC 6193, and they are actually visible in the with the naked eye. And they're actually responsible for the glowing dust and gas that we're seeing being emitted. And so they contain about 27 stars as well. Hello, Bazaar, as well. So this is really nice. These nebulas are massive big star nurseries. There are no mummy stars or daddy stars or star stalks. Stars are formed in these massive big clouds or molecular clouds of hydrogen, dust, exactly stuff that exists on my bookshelf at the moment. I need to dust my room, and also oxygen, carbon, all the building blocks for solar systems and stars. And when they you get little nodes that will collapse on themselves, and they turn into what are called block globules, where you'll have a protostar in the center of this cocoon, and the material is falling on the star, and the star is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And as it's getting bigger, it's getting hotter, and it gets so hot that obviously stuff starts to melt, and then it gets even hotter, so much so that the atoms can actually start to fuse together, and that's where you get the hydrogen atoms fusing together and becoming helium. So that's how it all works, and so that's.
Yeah, I once went on a bit of a journey trying to photograph a whole bunch of block globules around the different nebulas. Rather tricky to do. They're quite small, and I was just wondering if I can pull an image in here to show you one attempt. What was this? Was IC 2948. Oh, Thackeray's globules. Let's see, hey? Try putting this in here. And yes, you can see that. Paste that.
So.
There we go. Can you see that, Matt?
No, because I was quickly changing to Stellarium, so you couldn't see file tree.
That's right.
But you can see them there,
so, so this is I see 2948, and these are actually the globules here. Um, it's one of the better known examples of them, I think, in terms of that
Mm.
object. Pretty horrible image looking at it now, but that was the best I could do back in whatever year I did this, probably about 8 years ago or something.
It's
Very
amazing
different
how
scale.
much the technology improves over this time.
Well, yeah, and also the camera which was used for this was non-anti-blooming, which
Mm.
was bought for scientific reasons. And so because of that, all the stars really bloom quite a lot.
Yeah.
So it doesn't suit so well. But yeah, anyway, there you go.
And God in his
All
soup
right.
says, aren't supernovas cause when stars lose their gravity and collapses on itself? Yes. So a star is basically an explosion that wants to blow up, but its own gravity is holding it together. So it's in this nice little area of blowing up, but staying together. And so towards the end of a life, the star will actually start to expand out because the core of the star gets hotter, so that because the star runs out of hydrogen, and so you get this shell of hydrogen around the core, which is now really just mostly helium. And then, depending on how big the star is, it can start burning oxygen and then carbon, and so all those elements that are up to about iron. They're made from stars, very much like our sun going bang at the. Our sun will go out like a whimper, but the bigger stars, they'll continue to go even further and then blow up. So towards the end of a star's life, once it's starting to fuse iron, it's only doing iron for about 24 hours before it actually loses its battle with gravity. So you end up getting a core of a star that looks like a bit like an onion. You've got different layers of oxygen, hydrogen, helium, carbon, nitrogen. And then once it gets to iron, iron is an endothermic reaction. It actually takes in more energy than it gives off, and that's when the star loses its battle. So in the case of all these suns, as this is going through, the stars are getting larger and larger. And even though the core is getting hotter, it has to heat a lot more area, which means the star turns red. And from that's where we get the term red giant. And each of these stages, as it's burning different elements, it's reducing in time. It's only going to burn certain elements for a certain amount of time. And yeah, so and then towards the end of when it does go bang, in terms of our sun, basically the outer layers will be shed off, and you'll get the white dwarf, which is about, say, 20, probably about 20 kilometers across, but it'll be ultra dense, and all the rest of the planets will orbit around that. You'll probably find that Mercury, Venus gets gobbled up. They're not too sure about Earth. Earth could be gobbled up, could be pushed out, could be singed. They're not too sure. But the bigger stars, where you get to about 8 to 15 times the mass of the sun, they can blow up in supernovas and become neutron stars, where you've got your atoms, where you have the protons and neutrons in the middle, and the electrons. It's squeezed so much that the neutrons and the protons and the electrons are squeezed into neutrons, and then you also get the massive stars that are 15 times the mass of our sun, and they will blow up and become stellar mass black holes. So, hello, Hazel. It's pretty interesting to see how, and the stars are the ultimate recyclers. They keep on recycling themselves, and getting new stars as well. Ooh, that's very nice.
Sort of. It's pretty noisy. What I've
Yeah, it
tried
is.
doing
Yeah.
here while you've been chatting, Matt, people have probably been watching me a little bit, is trying to select the narrowband images, which I've got coming in for this. I've only got very small number, hence the noisiness. I've got a total of, I think, 1 sodium, 2 HA or 3 HA, and 2 oxygen. But that's what I've tried using for this. So we've got the HAs being shown in the red channel, S2. Is S2 sodium or sulfur? I forget. I should probably remember. Um, and then the oxygen in the O3 is going into the blue.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, it's a bit of an experiment because, as I mentioned at the start of tonight, this is the first time I've managed to get live stacking of color working.
And it's doing
There
well
you
so
go.
far. So
So far, it was quite incredible actually that it's got all these different stacks running in the background. It's stacking each individual filter. So if it sees a new file come up for one of the filters, it goes, oh, hey, I'll add that to the stack for that filter. And then separate to that is the RGB stack going, oh, hey, there's a new updated, B stack. I'll pull that in. So it must be chewing a little bit of processing to do all this while in the background it's actually still taking images. Modern technology, hey? Pretty
yeah.
cool.
Well, I'm still loving my laptop, even though it threw me a bone last night, saying that it couldn't do the recent Windows update and wanted to reformat itself, and it's like no. And so I turned it off, and I procrastinated and left it for the night, and got a good night's sleep, and woke up, and then when I turned it back on again, it said loaded up Windows, and Windows said couldn't do the last update, so we're just going to go back, roll it back, and not have to reformat your drive. So
Oh, great. Yeah.
yes. But it's that fear of, as you're closing it down, going, oh no, not.
Yeah. Will it come back?
Yes, yeah, yeah, awesome.
Yeah. And it seems okay. So I've just learnt that I can only have one RGB stack going, and so this one has nuked the
Oh, okay.
RGB with the narrowband one. So there you go. Oh well.
Hey Roger, where's
Okay.
the Astrofest astrophotography exhibit at the moment?
I think that the main one, to be honest, is back at base
Yeah.
at ICRA. It's been actually, I'm not sure. No, it was the previous year one has been down at Lake Grace at
Yep.
the art space, community art space there, and that was a fantastic place for it to show the exhibition. It's just flooded with natural light from the main street of Lake Grace through these big windows onto proper hanging system on white walls. It looked it looked way better than what it did in John Curtin Gallery. So yeah, it is looking really good there, but I'm not sure. I think that the 2021 one hasn't got back out to another spot just yet. There will be a selection of them going up at Bino Central up north, but we haven't quite finalised organising that yet.
And this
we did also get them.
And this year's one that was announced earlier in March. That'll be shown at Astrofest in November.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. So, and it's worth us mentioning that actually, because a lot of people who talk to me in general life don't occasionally about astronomy stuff. They don't realise that Astrofest has actually been rescheduled for the 13th of November. So we obviously had to postpone it from February when there was a COVID outbreak, but it definitely has been scheduled for the 13th of November at Curtin University. So you probably don't hear so much about it because Astrofest only has funding for the event, and there's a big gap between February and November where it's not like there's Astrofest people sitting there getting paid to promote the thing.
Yeah.
So we'll hear more about it come closer to November 13.
No, right. And Jeff, we've got to be on our best behaviours because Jeff is in the chat saying, "Hey," he's up there enjoying brewing. We've seen the photos, Jeff, and we are seriously jealous of of what appears to be warm weather, blue skies, and good fun up there. All right. Did you want to move to the Southern Pleiades?
Yeah. Well, do we want to do M4 next?
Let's do M4. Yeah. Yep. We'll do that.
With all this rigmarole around colour stacking, this will be interesting to see how efficiently this goes. So, bear with me. I'm gonna just cancel a whole lot of stacks down here.
You know what? You know what I'm going to have to do to add to the live stream images, like the one that you see at the very beginning. And if there's any problems, there's a back. I'll be. We'll need to have like a the Kent Brockman from The Simpsons technical difficulties image as well, just in case anything goes wrong here. All right, so we're going to be looking again. We're heading towards the Scorpion, the Scorpius, and right there, that's where we're looking, just above the head. So this whole area here is called Roafiki, and that's where we're looking at, this big globular cluster. Now, we've gone from seeing a nebula with an open star cluster, and we're going to be looking at what's called a globular cluster. And so these are really old stars. So this one, and they exist, there's about 120 of them, and they exist above and below the disk of the galaxy. And so some of them they think might be cores of galaxies that have been gobbled up, and but some they think might be formed from massive big clouds. We suspect the Tarantula Nebula will actually end up making a globular cluster. But these stars are very old. They're about 12 billion years old. So almost the same age as our galaxy. And let's have a look.
Yeah, I think the jury's out on how these are formed, isn't it, Matt?
Yeah.
They don't know if they're from, extinct galaxies or what have you.
Carl said, row the boat ashore. Couldn't resist. row your boat gently on the stream. If you see a crocodile, don't forget to scream. So
I'm just fishing out here, trying to sort out scripts here to take. I better take a short exposure of this.
Yeah.
And look, it is there. I don't mind if you want to show my screen here.
Yeah, I'm just showing it now. Saying Roger.
Okay,
we like to show the people that it's not just us. We haven't just taken photos beforehand, and then just showing you them.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. So M4 is sort of only part of the Roafiki area, and it's interesting to try to think of like exactly how to frame a shot for this. I'm gonna just leave it as it is, I think, on that framing, and just hope for the best.
But it is definitely a favourite of astrophotographers to shoot this area with the different colour.
Yeah, typically wider field than what we're going to do tonight. It suits like 100mm camera lenses quite well. What I'm using tonight is effectively like a 600mm camera lens.
Yep.
So I'll let that start taking a photo while I get back into PixInsight and get this live stacker thing going, and we'll see how our luck goes for getting this right.
And PixInsight's a really powerful tool as well to use for your astrophotography as well. I've seen some amazing stuff done.
It's sort of the go-to tool for astrophotographers for image processing these days. Is not by any stretch of the imagination the easiest to use. So some people do the other ones, but it certainly is very well featured, fully supported. It's cross-platform. So yeah, PixInsight is very popular, but if you're starting out in astrophotography, it's not the one to choose. It's very difficult to learn straight off.
And Troy's asking, what setup are we running for tonight, processing the images? So,
okay, 2 seconds. Let me just get this.
We'll come to that back to that, Troy. But you can see the globular cluster right here.
Yeah, actually, I think maybe I should move it down and left a
Yeah.
little bit to get whatever that guy is up
Hmm.
there in. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
I'm seeing more of the
The,
nebulosity around
yeah.
there as well.
Yep.
Um, no, let's just take a little bit more time over this. I'm just going to stop that sequence and um, come back to do a bit of a focus shot to reframe this and see if I can move the right direction. Let's see.
Hmm.
Take a punt on which way to move.
So
And
So Messier for the crab globular cluster is about just over 7,000 light years away from Earth, so 7,200 light years around that area. And it was actually discovered by Swiss astronomer and mathematician Jean-Philippe Loew de Chise in 1746. And so Charles Messier also catalogued the cluster in 1746, and he noted that the cluster was small, faint stars with an inferior telescope. It appears more like a nebula. This cluster is situated near Antares and on its parallel. So Antares is the red heart of the scorpion, or the here, and it's actually Latin for rival of Mars, and it's because it's red and it looks very much like Mars, even when Mars is at its closest point. So, French astronomer Nicolas Louis de Lecaille also discovered the globular cluster independently in 1752. So, back in the day, back in those days they didn't have the internet, so people were keeping their own catalogues, and they were working out eventually when they put the new general catalogue together who actually really found these guys the very first time. So, Lecaille mentions that it resembles a small nucleus of a faint comet, so which you can kind of see, and that's why Charles Messier was actually doing his catalogue. So when you see something like M31 for Andromeda Galaxy or M42 for the Orion Nebula, he was actually trying to find objects that weren't comets, so that when he went comet hunting, he knew if he was looking in that direction, that was not a comet, and newly found comets. So it's interesting to see how all these different catalogues came together. So, and here we go.
right. Yeah, so we've got a red frame up now,
Yep.
which is a good start. So I'll start. Let's see. Start watching that. That does its thing of shuffling the frame around for you. Actually, I can look at what you've got there, I think, for the people, Matt, and I can optimize this a little bit.
It's also one of the closest globular clusters to Earth as well. So
the thing which I love about this area is that the nebulosity around here has a really stardust kind of feel to it. It's really light, wispy nebulosity. It's illuminated really nicely by the light from Antares. I don't know, I haven't done a plate solve and looked at a chart to know if that there is Antares or not. I've got no idea. But somewhere near here is the bright star Antares. We'll see if it comes up yellow once we can get a color stack going. So far I've got a red and a green. So I'm going to try now starting a new stack for the green.
the radius
So
of
there's
the
green.
the radius of the actual cluster itself is about 35, but its tidal effects is that its radius is about 70 light years across. So we're looking at something, that big ball there is about 70 light years across. So
Right. Yeah, I always think of, so visually, M4 is a small globular cluster. I've never looked at whether it's physically small or whether it's just that we're looking at it. Presumably, we're looking at it through the central region of the Milky Way and it's out the other side of the Milky Way. So I guess it's conceivable that it is actually quite large, even though it doesn't look as big as some like Omega Centauri and 47 Tuc and so on.
Yeah. Well, they did actually find a planet in this cluster. So it's about two and a half
Oh, right.
times, the and a half times the mass of Jupiter, and it orbits a binary star, which includes a white dwarf and a pulsar. So it's a very, very old star system. Um, and the
Yeah,
planet's
okay.
yeah, it's actually the planet was unofficially named the Genesis planet or Methuselah because it was believed to be about 12.7 billion years old. It's one of the oldest exoplanets that's known. It's about 3 times the age of our solar system. So
That's quite incredible. They think they can estimate the age of the planet. I wonder how
and
many times that's going to be refined in our
yeah,
lifetime.
well that was July 2003 they found that. So
Right. Now, I'm just waiting here for this to pull up a RGB stack. So far, we've only got one of each frame, but we'll see what happens, hey?
yeah,
See if magic works. So here we go.
here we go.
Maybe computing RGB image. Drum roll. Oh,
Hey,
okay.
we got some yellowish up there, and then there's some blue clouds.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm guessing that down the bottom right is definitely not Antares, that's blue.
Yeah, yep.
And the yellow up the top is towards Antares. I know
Taurus,
yellow
yeah.
lights up that nebula. I guess it must be a reflection nebula lit up
Mm.
by Antares and the surrounding stars. All right, so that's one frame of each. We'll see how
Mm.
we go. We're getting some more here to smooth out the details. So I guess just a little bit of astrophotography for the people interested. We are doing multiple exposures of each frame here, each filter here. So red, green, blue in this case. And we do that to smooth out the noise. So when you look at this, I guess it might not be so obvious on the live stream, but if we were to zoom in on this guy, you can see that there's the stars, which are looking fairly tidy there actually, but there's this background sort of speckledness, which is the noise. And the more exposures you do, the more you can smooth that out by effectively averaging them, usually using some different algorithms in
Mm.
there to do some sigma clipping or winsorized sigma clipping or something to get rid of outlier pixels. But you're effectively trying to smooth that out because the stars that you see here are legit. I mean, they're signal which is coming through, but this speckled stuff in the background
Yeah,
is not real. It's just an artifact of it being really faint light and the cameras having this noise level which is so close to that brightness. Well, that actually looks all right.
yeah.
Zooming in on that,
Troy says the
I have
blue.
to admit, I was,
The blue. Troy says the blue star looks really nice.
yeah, it did look pretty good. And I should know what it is, but I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screens, 6 screens here, and not one of them have I got a plate solved image of this. What do you do?
So it
Um,
looks to be. They don't actually have. I'm not up to date with my Greek lettering. I think it's Pi Ophiuchus. So it's yeah, which is strange because they don't actually have. They've got names for. The red star is Auniyat, and so yeah, but they don't have a name for the blue star. So
Actually, I see that Jeff has commented on the YouTube stream saying the
yeah,
star is probably Al Niat. Yeah. Second glob is NGC 6144. Yeah, okay.
hmm.
Yeah. I recognise that number, so I've probably looked that up before. Yeah, let's zoom out and see where we're getting to here, because I'm hoping. It seems I have to click that each time.
Carl's also
Ooh, let's
asking.
go.
Yes, that's very
More of
nice.
that yellow.
Carl's asking, are you using a filter wheel for the narrow band
Oh,
filters?
yeah, sorry. We were going to get back to a question there about the equipment, weren't we?
Yeah.
What setup are you using for processing the image? Oh, processing the images is PixInsight, and I'm using this script called EZ Live Stack. So that's about as complex as that gets. Yeah. it it's taken a few tries to get it running, but
And your
there's very
computer has
little
tried to remove the software as well.
Yes, yeah. I happened to use this EZ Live Stack thing tonight, and we had used it. We tried using it before the last live stream, and I gave up and we went back the old way. But so yeah, I know it was there, and we'd used it, but all of a sudden, it's just not in the menu. I'm thinking it's got it ticked like it's installed, but it's not there. So I had to completely uninstall and reinstall Pix Inside at 6:45 p.m. tonight and re-download EZ Live Stack, and fingers crossed it came back. As for the filters, I've got here is a ZWO 1600 Pro, so it's a mono camera, and I've got the ZWO filters and filter wheel there, which you can buy as a kit. So it's the what is it? 7-position. What's it got? It's got LRGB and then HA03S2 and an open. So that's 8 position filter wheel. One of them without a filter in it, so you can just do the full pass through of light. So that's what I'm using there. Now in this case, for this object, all I'm doing is RGB. And I would normally do luminance, but it seems this live stack thing can only stack sort of RGB, not LRGB.
Yep. No worries.
Yeah, but I'm pretty happy with how that's coming out.
Yeah.
It would be nice to see it move out that top right a little bit more in terms of just getting some more data in there. I guess that yellow in it is going to be a combination of all the filters, really. So maybe a bit more the red and green.
Yeah.
Just see what we've got here. All that we've got so far is 2 green, 2 blue, and 3 red. And each of these exposures is 60 seconds. I'm doing HA in there as well, but I haven't used any HA. Let's see. I'll just double click one of the HA images to see what it looks like, and we can just see. Yeah, not much. You'll be able to see a bit of that there if I move this down here. So not a very HA rich region, because it's not an emission nebula. It's just reflection nebula and stars.
Yep. And Carl says, thanks, Roger.
No problem.
And Taranch Teller says, that's a lot of birthday candles for 12 billion years old. So, yeah. Yeah. That area of the... Carl also says, that area of the Milky Way always looks good, wide field, with all the yellow and blue and red as well.
Yeah, completely agree. Really, it's best photographed at more that 100 mil. It's kind of thing that works really well with the 100 mil f2.8 macro lenses on a digital SLR. Those people always sort of go in my workshops, go, "What, a macro lens?" Well, they actually make good quality glass in the macro lenses, even the cheaper ones, and they're often fast, sort of f2.8 or such, and so they actually make pretty good astro lenses.
Yeah. Alrighty. Did you want what do you want to move to? Southern Pleiades or the Leo triplet?
Southern Pleiades.
Yeah, let's do that one.
We'll get that one right. Right. So this is going to be another process of me switching over everything.
It's okay, Roger. Think good thoughts. Good thoughts. Good thoughts. Calm blue ocean. Calm blue ocean.
I'll stop the exposures there. So, Matt, are you going to talk about where we're heading to while
yes.
I do all sorts of shenanigans?
So that we don't see your file structure and all that kind of stuff. Yep. So people can't hack your computer. Okay, so we're going to revert back. We're back here at the observatory. We're using, this is Stellarium for those who haven't seen this program before. So we're looking in the east. This is exactly what you can see in the night sky. At the moment, when I last looked outside, it was no clouds in the night sky here at the observatory. That might have changed, it might not have. But we're going to move across to the south, and we've got our lovely Southern Cross, the pointers, and we also have, there we go, we've got the Argo Navis, which is the ship that Jason and the Argonauts used to find the Golden Fleece. And we're looking right here, just below the Eta Carina, and we'll zoom straight in, and there you go. So we're looking at a very young open star cluster, and there's the lovely Eta Carina, the Carina Nebula, and so it's an open star cluster. So we're thinking again, baby stars, and they're known as the Southern Pleiades because they look very similar to the Pleiades cluster, which we can see during summer or Northern Hemisphere winter. And they were actually found by Abel Lakai in 1751 from South Africa. Easily seen with the naked eye here at the observatory, and it's one of the closest to us. So it's about 547 light years away from Earth. So it's slightly further out than the actual Pleiades themselves. They're about 440 light years, and they're actually there's about 74 stars that are part of this star cluster, and it's the third brightest open cluster in our night sky, following the Hyades, and then of course being the brightest, the Pleiades as well. And so it's about 50 million years old is the accepted age for these stars, but there are some that are about 13.7 million years old as well. So there are some stars that have been formed. So this is an open star cluster, is what happens after a nebula, very much like the Carina Nebula there has used all the dust and gas it can to make this all the stars it can. Anything left over is blown away by the radiation from these stars, and usually you'll find that some of the big stars will actually do a lot of the heavy lifting of blowing away the rest of the dust and gas. And then you've got this group of stars that are loosely orbiting around each other, and eventually they'll kick each other out. It's not easy or not hard to do. They do, or because their orbit's so chaotic, it doesn't take a lot for one to go by another star and kick that out of the system. So over a couple of 100 million years, you'll find that these stars will go on their own, and they will go off in their own and enjoy around and orbit around the galaxy their own way. So there are no failure to launch here. Think of these stars as anywhere between toddlers to university students that end up getting, in a couple hundred million years, they will be university students, TAFE students, and they'll get kicked out of their house at 18. So, so yeah.
I'm completely buried in technical stuff here, trying to get this working. Occasionally I tune into what the heck Matt's talking about, and I'm thinking, university students, where is he going?
No.
Very good, Matt.
Yes. I didn't want to bring up the movie failure to launch with who's that? Can't remember it had Matthew McConaughey in it, and
look, you well know, Matt, that you're the wrong person if you're on movies. I got nothing on movies. I'm too busy doing this stuff to watch movies. That's simply how I put it.
Actually, yeah. So while I'm at it, I can actually show you the Eagle Nebula. Let's have a look. We'll move while Roger's fiddling around with data.
I am getting there.
And I'm going to have to, you'll probably see some options here. Landscape. Removing the zero horizon for the, so we're here. Okay, so actually while I'm here, the Emu actually finishes down here in the constellation Scotum, the shield. So that's his back That's his back legs, right? His back legs, or his legs here. All right. So the Eagle Nebula. So we've got the Lagoon and Trifid Nebula, which we'll show at a future date. And then if we keep on coming down, we have the Eagle Nebula right here. And Troy has been asking for it, and we finally decided to give it to him. There it is. There's the lovely pillars of creation right there. And zoom in. Yep. And you can also see the spire as well. That's a nice little area that Hubble's taken a really nice photo of. And yeah, these are the pillars of the creation. So that amazing photo that Hubble took once it got finished, when it got fixed. So yeah, and it's a nice one to actually to take photos of. I've got a couple of photos through telescopes and through the digital camera of this.
I do find that the Pillars of Creation Eagle Nebula is a little bit like the Horsehead instrument. It's extremely popular in the general population because of Hubble's shots and how fantastic they look. But when people want to actually look at it through a telescope, there's another challenge. You know, to see something like the Horsehead, you need a 16-inch aperture, Newtonian at least. And the Eagle Nebula, look, it's a little bit better, but it's not far off it. And also in terms of scale, if we do have time tonight to have a look at it, you'll see how small it is in the field of view that I've been showing you these other objects here.
Yep.
So yeah, it is interesting how these things get popular, but you have no concept when you look at a Hubble shot of scale. There's nothing there to say this is like huge field of view or small field of view, and so people come to astrophotography and you just have no idea of,
like the Bug Nebula.
So how big it is. Yes. Yeah, I'm not going to look at the Bug Nebula tonight, Matt.
Sorry, Roger. It's my current joke with Roger. Roger always gives me a reaction when I mention the Bug Nebula. So yeah. So this is also the Omega Nebula as well. So we show that on a night sky tour, and we can also show the Lagoon Nebula and the Trifid Nebula as well. Okay, continue to berate me, Roger, for mentioning Bug Nebula.
Oh, look, yeah, that's it. Yeah, the Bug Nebula. I was going to say, Matt, maybe next time we can actually use my larger telescope. If I could just have the focus work perfectly for me, because I've just had a few issues with that. Then because its field of view is tiny, it's like 15 arc minutes by 10 arc minutes, and so the Bug Nebula actually consumes about an eighth of the field of view.
Yeah.
Right, so we're almost getting an RGB shot here. I've actually taken the exposure time down here to 30 seconds so that we get... Ooh, that's nice.
Yes.
I'm impressed.
We synchronized our ooze as well.
Yeah.
So you can see where it looks like the Pleiades cluster as well.
Yeah, sort of. I always think, well, as with any astronomical name, these things are a bit of a stretch, but at least the stars are blue and the size of the apparent size of the cluster is relatively the same. Yeah. So I've taken the exposure time down to 30 seconds from 60 because I know that in this field of view, we're not looking for hydrogen alpha detail or nebulosity, so on. We're just after the stars, which are relatively easy to get in short exposures. And so it's going to be more beneficial to have more exposures rather than longer ones, because the more exposures are going to really smooth out the noise for us. But I have to admit, I'm impressed for how many frames have we got here? We've got one of each, got two red and one green, one blue. That's all we've got there.
Yeah.
I'm stunned.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's just amazing to see how blue it is as well.
Yeah, the star contrast is what really stands out, isn't it? Because the contrast of the colours, these are really, really blue, and then you've got these really yellow ones, a little bit more red, in some. Um, yeah, that is really quite nice.
That's what I find
Um,
amazing when we take photos of like 47 Tucana or Omega Centauri. When you look at them through the telescope, it's amazing. It looks like sand is being dropped on black paper. But when you take photographs, you actually see which stars are blue and which stars are yellow. There's no real red stars, but actually see the difference and you see these clusters in a completely different light. And it's amazing to see how the different colours, even of the open star clusters as well. So Carl says,
I
oh, sorry.
see the yeah
Yeah.
see his question there about what would you do to stop blowing out the highlights. Yeah, I'm not a great one with not blowing out the stars. I have to admit that is one of my failings. Probably because I've come from a background of non-anti-blooming cameras for research stuff. But I've been trying to improve on that a lot lately, and you do have to have a range of exposure times. So you start having to do HDR for these shots to not have those blow out. But even then, when you stack them and stack that HDR, it doesn't really it doesn't stop the sort of diffuse glow of the stars. What I've ended up having to use is tools in PixInsight. There's a metamorphic transformation process, which the name of that says an awful lot about the usability of PixInsight. Um, that's the tool which you use for one of the options you have for decreasing the blowout of stars in these images. And I just laugh at the name of that tool and the fact that it's named after a purist mathematical function. But here it is, as the reducing star bloat tool. Um, yeah, so picks insight. I'm not an expert at that, but that is what I've tried, and it's helped somewhat. The other thing is that I've found that my 12-inch old 12-inch Meade, which is my larger telescope with the smaller camera on it, that older optics of the older Schmidt Cassegrain just cannot be helped for star bloat. Yeah, and that just the stars just become a huge pain no matter what you do, and it is the optics. I compare it to other telescopes I take images through, and I don't have half the trouble. So one of these days I will upgrade the optics of that, and that'll solve the problem a bit. So it's interesting that people, I guess the thing there is people often think that they're doing something wrong with processing of their night sky images, and it is often just Milky Way shots, wide field nightscapes, or anything. But it is actually not their processing; it's the raw data. You can just have a bad night for Milky Way shooting, and you get crap data. Just not so much contrast and all this kind of stuff. And then at the other end of the focal length spectrum, something like through a telescope, where it may be the optics are just introducing more bloat on the stars as well. So, but anyway, I do realise that Carl was talking about not necessarily bloat, but the highlights of the stars. And so that's both aspects of it, I suppose, which play together there.
And Troy asks, does your graphics card and CPU factor in getting an exposure?
I would say no, actually. Astrophotography is the acquisition of the images is very low CPU and so on intensive.
It's more processing.
So the processing of the images gets a bit more intensive when you're dealing with larger megapixel images. But bear in mind that most astro cameras are smaller in megapixels than what you'd typically have in off-the-shelf cameras. And most of the processing which you're going to be doing is going to take a bunch of work anyway. So if you have to wait for PixInsight to stack and to align and calibrate images for maybe 5 minutes, I don't find it a huge problem. So yeah, I'd say in general you don't need too much. Memory helps a lot. So
Yeah.
I've got 16 gig of RAM, and PixInsight will chew that all up quite happily very quickly. And SSD drives certainly help, but in terms of CPU and stuff, it's not so much the factor.
Yeah. I've got, it's just, we're recording this on 60 frames a second at 1920 by 1080, and my CPU is using 2.3%. Like, back in the when we started doing these, with last year, I was using my old laptop and it was running at 46%, and I couldn't run run Stellarium as well as do the photography through the telescope, because the laptop would just crash itself. So yeah, so it's amazing what a good All right, did you want to move to the Leo triplet? We'll do that one final one.
Yeah, sure. I don't hold high hopes of how fantastic this is going to look, but we're going to give it a crack.
Yeah, let's give it a crack.
It'll be better than the Bug Nebulous.
That joke never gets old. So you keep on giving me a reaction. I'll keep on giving it until I find something more to bug you about.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to do a bunch of work here to try to switch over.
All right. So we're going to move back out. So the Leo triplet is here in the northern hemisphere. So we're actually we probably couldn't do this at the observatory tonight because it'd be entering the light pollution of Perth and Kalamunda as well. And yes, we're looking at Leo, and we zoom in, and we're not going to that area. We're going to the hind leg right here. So this is the three galaxies that make up the M67, the Leo triplet right there. So we're seeing a couple of spiral galaxies almost face onto us. One that's nearly face on, one that's just off to the edge that looks like it's a cigar, and the bottom one there which is called the Hamburger Galaxy, looks like it's it is an edge on, very much like Centaurus A galaxy. So you can see there's the patty, and then there's the bun as well. That's how you call it it's the Hamburger Galaxy. So it is made up of three interacting galaxies. They are very close to each other, and so they have actually all caused a lot of warping of themselves. And you can actually see through the 14. I think we can actually show you M60. M65 and an M66. So this is M66. So in our view for the 16, we get that, and then we get M65. And if you want, you then have to go and do NGC 3628 right there. So you can't get with our 14-inch telescope, you can't get all of them in, but you can with the ED80 telescope that's attached. It's more wide field as well. So I've got a couple of photos of those in my stash here. But yeah, so another lovely one that you can use to take photos of, especially through a telescope. And it's fairly easy to see where Leo is in say autumn to late to early winter. It's in the north. So, and you look for Regulus as well. Sorry, I got a little twitch in my throat there.
So I'm trying to find it in my telescope here. I'm trusting that it's centered, but in a 5-second exposure, 10-second exposure, it's not coming out much. So we'll see how we go with the 60-second.
Burgers. Actually, free cheese.
I thought about doing the hamburger, the Centaurus, but yeah, it's a bit more in the field of view.
Actually, if you go to Hungry Jack's, you can get free cheeseburgers for the next 24 hours. One of the Illawarra Hawks missed their 2 free throws against the Wildcats, and so free cheeseburgers for the state of West Australia. So,
Really?
just turn up, just go to Hungry Jack's. It's not a product placement, and just say, watch the basketball game last night and free cheeseburgers. So. I've got my.
Do we get them as a sponsor? Do they give us money for that?
No. But hey, we like to do things for our viewers. So, yep.
Yeah.
So it is located in the eastern part, just around where the hind leg is, and M66 is the larger and the brightest of the three. It's about about 95 million light years across. So it is they're slightly smaller than our galaxy, which is about 110 million light years across, and so it M65 is a little bit dimmer. It is a intermediate spiral galaxy. It's got a bit. It's poor in dust and gas, so it shows little evidence of star formation. So, night, Troy. Have a good one. As well. So
yeah, thanks for dropping by, Ty.
So it's a lovely little area to have a look at as well. So it's definitely worth getting if you go out to dark areas and going out and having a look, because they are noticeable, and especially if you tack on a camera on it as well.
That's the thing, yeah. This is where I remember these galaxies from. I have very fond memories of the early 2000s, going out with friends to the wheat belt. There's a bunch of great reserves out there, which you used to be able to camp at. Some you still can. And just taking out your telescopes. There was things like my 80mm refractor and my friend's 16-inch, 15-inch Obsession, Dobsonian, and so on, and having a look at these things through the eyepiece. It's amazing what you can see, and you really train your eye to look for the detail in them, and having your eye there looking at these galaxies, which what are they, about 50 million light years away?
Yeah.
It's really quite nice, and especially in that kind of setting where it's it's really pleasant out there especially this time of year. I mean, it gets a bit cold at night, but that's what you have a campfire nearby for.
Yeah.
Good memories of it. Yes, this time of year it's ski gear all round.
Yeah, and it's about 800 million years, they reckon, when that interaction between M65 and M66 occurred as well. So it is. You'll probably find that there might have been a bit of swapping of gas and dust, and they're about 35 million light years away. So we're seeing them as they were as they were about 35 million years ago as well. So they're both M65 and M66 were actually found by Charles Messier, and in the Hamburger galaxy was actually found by William Herschel later on in 1784, and so that's got it's actually got a long tail coming from it, which is that they can see, which is about 300,000 light years. So you can see that there has been some warping of that galaxy as well from the interactions. So it doesn't take a lot because they've got such a large gravity field. So, and it's unfortunate, but galaxies are cannibals. That's how they like to keep making stars, and they've got to gobble up each other. They think about 11 or 10 stars have been galaxies have been gobbled up in the process of our galaxy's lifetime. So resistance is futile. You will be assimilated.
This is interesting. Jeff's mentioned Vesta is in the field.
Yeah.
Right, M66.
Let's have a look.
There you go.
Yeah. Yep. Roger, I think I'm just having a look at Stellarium and comparing that. Let's have a look. So on the side of where you've got the two stars, the two galaxies, yeah, that brighter of the two, the brighter star to that one, that one, that's Vesta, right there.
Really?
Yeah, that's the asteroid Vesta. Well, what could eventually become a dwarf planet if they recategorize it.
Wow.
But yeah, that's Vesta right there. Yeah. So they got a fifth object in the.
Bonus. Yeah, I can see that galaxies are faint, and we need a good amount of data to get a good image here. You can see, might have noticed in the background, the whole color of the image changed quite a lot between exposures, and that's because we've got so few shots here that as it brings in another frame, it changes its perception of what color balanced is.
Yeah.
As I said at the start of this, I can't customize this at all in this live view, so I just take what it gets. But we'll see how it goes over a few more exposures in terms of softening out this noise and maybe bringing out some more detail in the galaxy.
Yeah, so that's that. Roger, if you go back to that galaxy, as the galaxy, that's the hamburger one. That's to the left, and then the bottom right one is M66. And then the top right one is M65. So that's the intermediate spiral galaxy that doesn't have a lot of dust and gas it left. And the bottom one is the M66, the bigger one. Yep, there. So those two are the more interacting of the two. And the hamburger has had some interactions with those two galaxies further on in its life. All right.
I don't know that one as the hamburger because, of course, I know Centaurus A is the hamburger.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if this is the one which I would have called the dog bone.
Yeah, it does look like a dog bone.
I was wondering if I tried googling dog bone galaxy. that did not work. But I thought that's what I would call it. But there might be another one which is actually what I'm thinking of.
And for those. And while you're researching for that, Vesta is actually the virgin goddess of home and family and health in the Roman religion. So she's rarely depicted in human form, often represented as a fire in her temples. So that's it's the actual asteroid itself is about 525 kilometers in diameter. It was actually discovered by Hendrik Wilhelm Matthias Oberers on the 29th of March 1807 as well. So it's the second largest asteroid in both mass and volume after the dwarf planet series as well. So yeah, I remember back when they were doing the whole hubbub about Pluto being kicked out of the planet group back in 2006, that they were going to also call this a dwarf planet as well, but I don't think they ended up doing that. But it did actually have NASA's Dawn spacecraft into orbit back on July 16th in 2001, and they did a 1-year exploration of the asteroid before it left Vesta in the 5th of September 2012 on its way to Ceres. So we've got some really nice photos of it if people want to go and have a look at the NASA's Dawn website. So yeah,
very good. I'm just trying to see if I can pull Vesta in here and do a plate solve on this so I can see it. And we might actually have luck here. Here we go, Vesta. So this looks rather odd, but what I've got here is I've pulled in the .fit file from the camera, the image file. I've asked this guy X to do a plate solve on that, and actually I can see you can't quite see all the details there, but on the left it's got the astrometric solution. So what the plate solve does is it actually matches stars in the field of view to stars in the database, and every one of those green circles there is a star which it believes it's matched to one in the database. The databases, which I've got there, around 80 gigabytes big. And you can see here the scale that we're at, and so on the so our field of view is about 2 degrees by 1.5 degrees.
Yep.
My focus could be better based on that. But if I just move this out the way, and we can see there that the field of view I've got is, well, hopefully you'll see it there. I've got a bit of lag on what I'm seeing, but this purple box here is my expected field of view, and I see actually the white one is what it's plate solved to, and it's got Vesta there. So yeah, definitely is there off from that one there. I think actually let's flick back to this. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I think you are right, Matt. It is that one there. For a moment, I was doubting your expertise there, but
and you were doubting Jeff as well. He had it in the YouTube chat as well, saying that was the lower of the two spiral galaxies on the right hand side. So don't ever doubt Jeff. Yeah. And don't ever doubt Stellarium either. So. All right.
So what would be interesting is to take images over a few hours and see how much it moves in that time.
Yeah.
That's what it's fun to do with Pluto and other things like that. I've never done it with Vesta to see how fast Vesta moves, but that would be interesting to see.
Well, we've got a shot now. Come back tomorrow and take another shot.
Yeah,
if it's not cloudy, and then you
might
can
be out of the screen by then.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, I think we'll finish it up there. You guys have got 5 objects, so that's the extra. Oh boy, more than 15 extra minutes that you got tonight. So, thanks very much for joining us. We hope you've had a lovely time. Thanks again, Roger, for joining us and letting us borrow your telescope.
And the live stacking of colour actually worked, Matt. So
I know. Hang on. We've still got a couple of seconds. Okay, we don't want the computer to blow up or It's going so well. So knocking on wood, as I'm saying.
And the weather's held well.
Yes.
I'm looking at the cameras outside of the observatory and so on, and the only cloud is towards Perth.
Yeah.
It's
coming straight for us.
Look, it's actually been sitting about the same on the horizon the whole time. It hasn't come over the wheat belt as like I expected it to. So yeah, it's nice and clear out there, and it is 13 degrees, probably about more 11 given the things. No wind.
No wind.
Beautiful.
All righty. Well,
thank you, Matt.
No worries. Thanks for joining us, guys. And if you do like what you've seen today, please tell your friends and tell your family about us. We'll be here in a couple of weeks' time, and we'll do a whole set of other targets as well. So, thanks again, guys. And yes, we'll try and get the Eagle Nebula next time. If not, we'll do it as soon as we can. All right, guys. Have a great week ahead of you, and enjoy the rest of the weekend. See ya. Bye.
See ya.